Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the greatest congressman Florida's ever had and your future governor, Byron Donald.
You know, after an introduction like that, I'm gonna just let you give the speech. You give it, I don't even need to say anything. With his booming James Earl Jones voice. I'm about to have you say Luke.
Hey, I'll do it for you everywhere you go.
You gonna do Luke, I am your father. Lee County, it's great to be with everybody this evening. Man, it's been a very interesting couple of weeks, a very hard couple of weeks for myself, for so many of us in the conservative movement. Charlie Kirk was not just, a leader, he wasn't just a fighter. Charlie Kirk was a man of God, he was a father, he was a husband. He's one of the best. I was talking to our local reporter at Wink News about him, and I said, the reason why they're going to have 60,000 people tomorrow in Arizona, the reason why there have been celebrations of his life and really prayer vigils all over the place is because the man was just as important, if not more, than the work that he did. As somebody who knew Charlie Kirk, I will tell you firsthand, he would give the shirt off his back to everybody in this room if that's what you needed. If you had to figure out where to go and where to get to, he would stop what he was doing. And trust me, he was busy, very busy, but he would stop what he was doing to help you. He was passionate about young people. He was passionate about the conservative movement. At the inauguration, I was with him. We were in the van taking us to the arena because the arena is where they moved the parade indoors. And by the way, the indoor parade was actually really cool. That's something that we should keep going forward. But we moved it indoors because it was bitterly cold in Washington Inauguration Day. And so I'm in the van, I'm with, it was a bunch of us. It was Elon, it was, what's going on here? Oh, I could do that. Anyway, back to the story. So it was myself, Elon, Charlie, Laura Ingram, a bunch of folks, and we're getting ready to head over to the indoor parade and leave it to President Trump. He'll find a way to turn bitter cold into a new spectacle that everybody will love, and he did that. And Laura Ingram was trying to figure out how she was going to leave the arena to get to her show, because she shoots her show in DC. Now, it's Laura Ingram, she could just call Fox, but the problem is the security perimeter had expanded in Washington, in the downtown area, because they didn't have enough police officers to cover the whole thing, so they just widened the net. Anybody that was in DC for the inauguration, you know what I'm talking about. You had ladies in their evening gowns looking beautiful, walking through the streets in the bitter cold in high heels, their toes are frozen off, but they went to go party. It was an interesting thing. And so Charlie, he literally stopped everything that he was doing and was making phone call after phone call, text message after text message to try to find a way to get a car to get Laura Ingram out of the security perimeter and to her studio. You would be like, well, Byron, it's Laura Ingram. You have no idea what a security perimeter is when the Secret Service locks down. Because when Secret Service locks down, it's a whole nother ordeal that they do not break. Evan shaking his head. That they do not break unless you have a special designated pin that allows you to move within the perimeter. And here's Charlie Kirk, leader of Turning Point USA. Somebody who was so instrumental to us winning the most consequential presidential election in our lifetime. And he took literally 30 minutes out of the stuff that he was doing to try to make sure she could get a ride from the arena to the Fox studios to go on the air that night. That's one of the reasons he's being celebrated. That's the man that we miss. That's somebody that's irreplaceable. That's somebody who, with how we move going forward, everything we do is about, in part, living up to his legacy. And his legacy was not about him. And if you knew Charlie Kirk, you would know the things he fought for were not about him. He fought for America because he believed it was the last best hope for free people or any other place on the earth. He fought for young people because he knew and understood that they had their own genius about them, and their desire was to make sure that they could live free. That despite all of the indoctrination from the insane left in high schools and in colleges, he knew there was a spark in young people that desired freedom above all else. And he fought for that every single day. He fought for that until his dying breath in Utah. Chairman Power was up here and he talked about unity. And he's right too. Because these are the times, especially, let's be direct. We're in Florida. We're a red state. We're the best state in the country. Everybody's trying to come here. We have great leadership in Governor DeSantis. We are the envy of the other 49 states. You would say from the outside, everybody's saying, oh, Florida, everything must be perfect. But we live in Florida. We know the battle lines and the issues and the fights and the text messages and the email chains. We know it all exists. We all do. But what I'm telling you is, our fight and our battle is not with one another in this room. It lies with the radical left that is insane. I see your chairwoman, Mercedes Price Harry, Mercedes, great event tonight. Great event, Mercedes. I figured Brian would be tending bar again tonight, but that's okay, Brian. They said no. No, they said your drinks are terrible. They said you can't do it. Oh, there's no such thing. They're shouting. It's great to see you, Grant. You're right. Where's Grant? Oh, there you go, Grant. Hey, thank you so much for all your hard work. Jonathan Martin, state senator, tallest man in the room. Former chairman of the Lee County GOP. I want to tell a couple stories. Can I tell you a quick story? The first time I ever came to a Lee County GOP event, it was 2012. I was running for Congress. My opponents at the time were Gary Aubuchon, Paige Kriegel, Trey Radel, Chauncey Goss, Joe Davidow.
And many more.
I think that was it. I think I got them all. Jenna, did I get everybody? Okay. So I go into the Lee County GOP room, and nobody knew me. I'm this kid from Naples, right? And I come in, and I'm saying to myself, okay, I've never been in this room before. I want to win the straw poll. I got to give the speech of my life. This better be good. And somewhere in the speech, those who've been around for a while, is Nancy McGovern here? Where's Nancy? Oh, but I love her. So anyway, I'm thinking I got to give the speech of my life. And I'm on the side, and they're going through every candidate, every campaign. And listen, guys, 2025, 2026 is no different than 2012. Campaigns are tough, sharp elbows come out, everybody's competing, you want your guy to win. The candidates actually get along sometimes. It's like the people who are supporting the candidates who are really like fighting it out in the corner. This is my table, you can't be in this spot. I got my palm card set up nicely, I got the best one. So I'm coming in, gotta give the speech of my life. And somewhere in my mind I go, I got it. And I said, what you want out of a member of Congress is somebody who has the testicular fortitude to stand up to the radical left. You remember that one? The whole room is like, oh my gosh, who is this guy? I won that straw poll by 1 vote. So it's good to be back in Lee County. Oh my gosh, Michael Thompson is here, former chairman. Michael's good to see you. to the Esposito State Rep. It's good seeing you and your husband. You got the whole table over there. Everybody's hanging out, looking good. It's a pleasure meeting all of you guys. Jenna Persons Mulligan. Jenna, congrats. Dave, congrats. I don't know how you guys are doing this thing. You got a state rep and a county commissioner. God bless your mother in armor. God bless mama. She's getting it done. Blaze, I'm gonna come back to you in a little bit. There's so many more. What's up, Madison? It's good to see you, my friend. So many more. We're gonna get to everybody. Look, I was in Fort Lauderdale right after 9/11. I did a 9/11 tribute in Fort Lauderdale. It was the day after Charlie was assassinated. And in my mind, I'm trying to hold it together and figure out where we're gonna go. And I'm in Fort Lauderdale, I'm doing the Broward County Lincoln Reagan dinner, and this verse came to my mind. And it was the verse that I think it got me together to move through the speech, and I wanted to share it with you. It's 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 7. For God has not given us a spirit of fear and timidity, but of power, of love, and self-discipline, self-control. In this time where we're trying to figure out how are we going to replace a Charlie Kirk, in this time where we're trying to figure out how are we going to challenge the radical left, how are we going to manage ourselves, and how are we going to conduct ourselves, how are we going to lead people for a better America, this is the verse that came to my mind. We do not have a spirit of fear as Republicans. We do not have a spirit of fear as conservatives. We do not have a spirit of fear as people who are knee-deep in the America First movement, because if we do not stand, America falls. We have a spirit of power, because we know if you examine world history, our philosophy, our principles are right. They are the same principles that freed people from all over the world. They are the principles that you had a nation that slavery was a part of our nation at our founding and led to the freedom of the slaves. That is our nation. That's our party. I don't want to hear from the Democrats. We are the party that led to the freeing of slaves on this shore in America. I don't want to hear from them. We are the party of love. We want people to be free. We want people to earn their stripes. We want people to have property, pass it on to their kids. If you want somebody else to thrive and succeed, if that's not love, I don't know what is. That is our party. That's who we are. We are a party of self-discipline. We do believe in holding people accountable. We do believe in holding ourselves accountable. We believe in the rule of law. We believe in separation of powers. We believe in it not just because it was written in our Constitution, but because that is the history of human civilization. Our framers understood that separation of powers was critical to having a government of, by, and for the people. They had watched the brutality of the European kings. They had watched the indentured servitude and the slavery brought to us by Europe. And it was the framers of our Constitution and conservatives and liberty-loving people who said, no, that is the wrong way to organize society. The way to do it is freedom. Freedom from oppression, freedom of speech, freedom to petition your government, separation of powers, because when you do that, it limits government and it allows people to be free. That's who our party is. I get asked all the time, Byron, how do we know you're conservative? Half the time I laugh. I'm like, have you checked the tapes? Google me. Look at my record. But it's not just your voting record by CPAC or any other group that puts them out, Heritage Action. It's about, do you stand for constitutional rights when everybody else is saying it's okay to let it pass? Blaze knows what I'm talking about. He was there on the House floor with me. We stood for your constitutional rights. I'm always asked, are you sure, Byron? Are you really, 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 really sure? I go to work on a big, beautiful Capitol in Washington. And I have to battle some of the most insane people I've ever seen in my life. I mean, just stupid. I was asked at the table, would you talk about the Rashida Tlaib story? And I said that I would. But let me lay it out, because it's important how we arrived. What you saw was me and her go back and forth for a minute. Let me tell you how I arrived. I had a meeting that morning off campus. So I came into the Capitol a way I typically do not come into the Capitol. I came in through the Visitor Center. The Oversight Committee hearings are in the Visitor Center meeting area because they're redoing the Oversight Committee room in Rayburn Office Building. So I come in through the Visitor Center and I take the escalator down, I turn the corner, and what I see are a bunch of activists from the Free DC movement. And I'm walking right next to them, and this one lady says, Congressman, I have a question for you. And I go, and in my mind, I go, okay, she wants to engage right now. Are we gonna have a spirit of fear, or are we gonna have a spirit of power? And if you know me, and somebody wants to come and challenge my viewpoints, I take personal pride in having a spirit of power. So I said, self, we're gonna stop right now and talk to this young lady. So I said, yes, ma'am, what's your question? And she just goes, how dare you try to take away local control from DC? Your bill is wrong. This is the DC Crimes Act bill, which actually restored common sense in DC, where adults are tried as adults and children are tried as children. Common sense, not in DC. So the bill passes. How could you do this? You took away our local control. Do you think you have the right to do that? I said, ma'am, there's this thing called the Constitution. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 is very clear. It says that the federal district is the purview of the United States Congress and the federal government. We decide what happens in the federal district. And the federal district is Washington, D.C. But we have home rule. Congress gave us home rule, blah, 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 blah. And I said, ma'am, number one, a previous Congress cannot bind a future Congress. Number two, yes, Congress gave D.C. home rule, but that does not mean that D.C. has home rule in perpetuity, meaning forever. Because if the D.C. City Council won't do simple common sense things like keep the streets of D.C. safe, then we have a constitutional responsibility to stand in the breach and do what you refuse to do. Then they tried to flip the script because they got beat on that point. Then they go, do you think it's okay for President Trump to use the National Guard? I said, yes. That's not true, you can't do that. Ma'am, the federal enclave is the purview of the federal government. If we want to deploy the National Guard to secure the nation's capital, we are well within our authority to do so, and so is the president. Well, he did it in Los Angeles, he can't do that. Slow down, ma'am. In Los Angeles, the president deployed the National Guard to protect ICE agents on the ground in LA who were actually fulfilling a federal law enforcement mandate. And if they're going to be interfered with by civilians and they don't have the ability to protect themselves, it is the responsibility of the commander-in-chief to do that, and hence he deployed the National Guard in LA to protect those ICE officers. That went round and round for about 30 minutes. Not recorded, just back and forth. I go into the committee room. I sit down. The Democrats are losing their mind. Typical in the Oversight Committee. Rashida Tlaib is in the middle of a diatribe. Typical of Rashida Tlaib. It made no sense. Typical of Rashida Tlaib. She got emotional. Typical of Rashida Tlaib. She started crying and yelling as she's talking. Typical of, you get it. And then she calls Republicans fascists. 10 days ago, a shooter carved that into one of the bullets meant for Charlie Kirk. And you got the nerve to say that in a congressional hearing. I was already charged up from the debate by the time I got to Rashida. I'm sitting at my desk, and the way the mics work, you press the button, the mic goes on. So the second I went boop, I knew it was time. And we engaged. And I looked at her and I said, do I look like a member of the Third Reich to you? You're insane. And she started yelling more and incoherent, and nobody knows. I'm glad you asked me. Here's the real point behind the story. Our movement is mourning. But are we going to have a spirit of fear or a spirit of power? If you're not willing to stand in these crucial times where, yes, everybody's thinking about their personal security. I got a wife. She's right there. She's lovely, by the way. She's your next First Lady. If you're not willing to stand in these times, when will you? If you're not willing to stand when your own party tells you, no, just go along to get along, when will you? It was said I've been nominated for Speaker more than a lot of people. I have. The reason why I was nominated for Speaker so many times is because my colleagues on Capitol Hill, oh yeah, they saw the Fox clips. But they also saw the member of Congress in the room challenging Republican leadership, pushing them to be more conservative, making sure that members have the ability to represent their districts so that this constitutional republic of, by, and for the people actually works for another 250 years. A lot of people say these days, they go, Byron, President Trump endorsed you. Yeah, he did. It's great. It's great. People would say, Byron, well, you know, you were loyal to him and you fought hard for him, so it makes sense. That's true. 2024 was an election for the ages. Trust me, I was there. We were battling the left everywhere. J.D. Vance was battling the left on their own turf. And so was I. And so was Marco. And so was Vivek. Because we understood that if you didn't stand now for this republic, it was going to fall into the abyss. Kamala Harris, are you kidding me? Miss 107 days? Miss, I blew up $1.5 billion? $1.5 billion? Are you crazy? It's nuts. But we understood. President Trump saw that, and what he saw, which is what he tweeted, is that, man, this guy isn't going to back down from anything. He don't care. I was in New York City, went on the Breakfast Club. The Breakfast Club brought on somebody new to debate me. They didn't even tell me she was coming on. I handled her too. Why? One, I was raised politically in the Florida House of Representatives. We know how to debate, right, Blaze? Blaze, we know how to do it. We know how to do it. But number two, and more importantly, the country was on the line. And it is time that people all across America, Republicans, of course, independents, yes, Democrats, some of them, they have to understand our principles. They have to understand what we fight for and why. Because some of these Democrats, not the crazy ones, some of them, they just want their kids to have a better life. They want their companies to grow. They want their neighborhoods safe. But they vote Democrat and they register Democrat because that's what their families have always done. And that's what their friends have always done. And they just don't know. And we have a responsibility to meet that challenge and bring our principles to their doorstep. The same way Charlie brought our principles to their college campuses with a spirit of power, with great humility, with unwavering belief in our principles, in our Constitution, and in the freedom movement, which has unleashed prosperity for so many people. Going forward, in Florida, the big question I get, more than property taxes, more than insurance, more than the Everglades, is Florida going to remain free? Byron, the Governor Ron DeSantis, has done a great job. Can we keep the wins? I've been in the conservative movement for 15 years. A lot of you in this room have seen me grow from that first Lee County GOP meeting when I used testicular fortitude to demonstrate that I wasn't playing. And 15 years later, I've been on the front lines of just about every battle in the conservative movement. Not only is Florida going to remain the free state of Florida as your next governor, but we are going to take Florida to a whole nother level. You have my word. You have my promise. The only way we're going to do that is together. And I know there are disagreements in this room among some of you. Heck, it happens all the time, trust me. I know about your disagreements, I just don't talk about them. But I know. Guys, our rivals are the insane, radical left. They must be defeated. And if we stand united, they will be defeated because we have been blessed by Almighty God with a spirit of power.